You don't need to be screamed at to be hurt deeply. Sometimes the deepest wounds are carved in silence, with words so subtle they echo inside your mind for years. Not all pain is loud. In fact, some of the most destructive phrases are spoken softly, laced with a calm tone that disguises the harm beneath. Carl Jung believed that what remains unconscious continues to rule our lives. And until we confront the invisible weapons of manipulation, these hidden toxic phrases, we remain trapped in emotional patterns we don't even recognize. You're too sensitive. This is not just a casual observation, it's a targeted invalidation. When someone says this to you, what they're really saying is, your emotions are inconvenient for me. Instead of understanding your feelings, they shame you for having them. But let's be clear, sensitivity is not a flaw. It's a form of intelligence. Emotional sensitivity means you are in tune with subtle changes, with energy, with human behavior. Jung often spoke about the power of individuation, the process of becoming whole. Denying your emotions is the opposite of that. Accepting your emotional depth is part of your personal evolution. When they call you too sensitive, they are trying to shift the focus away from their behavior and onto your reaction. This creates a diversion. You begin to doubt yourself. You start wondering, am I overreacting? But here's the truth. Your emotions are valid. They are signals, not threats. Trust your emotional radar. It has protected you more than you realize. Sensitivity is awareness, and awareness is the beginning of freedom. I never said that. This one is psychological warfare. It's not just a lie, it's a fracture in your reality. When someone uses this phrase repeatedly, they are gaslighting you. Over time, you begin to lose confidence in your memory. You start to feel unbalanced, like the ground beneath you is shifting. That's exactly what gaslighting does. It makes you question your own mind. Gaslighting is a form of manipulation where someone denies facts, memories, or events in order to make you doubt your perception. It often starts subtly. They might deny saying something small and you brush it off, but then it becomes a pattern. Eventually, you begin to apologize for things you didn't do simply because your sense of reality has been so distorted. Jung would describe this as a loss of contact with the inner self. When the outer world becomes so chaotic and misleading, we disconnect from our inner truth. Here's what you need to remember. If you felt hurt, then something happened. Whether or not they admit it, the pain was real. You don't need proof to trust your experience. Write it down. Anchor yourself in your truth. Your memory is not broken. Your trust has been violated. You always make everything about you. This phrase is classic deflection. It's used to silence you when you finally speak up. You might have waited days, weeks, even months to gather the courage to express how you feel. And the moment you do, they hit you with this. It's not just dismissive. It's cruel. It tells you that your pain is irrelevant, that your voice is an inconvenience. But here's the truth. Speaking about how you feel is not making it all about you. It's called vulnerability. It's called communication. Narcissistic individuals cannot handle the idea that someone else might have a valid emotional experience that challenges their image or control. So instead of taking accountability, they accuse you of being self-centered. But ironically, it is they who cannot tolerate any focus that isn't on them. Carl Jung once wrote about the shadow, the unconscious parts of ourselves we disown. When people throw this phrase at you, they are projecting their own shadow. They feel uncomfortable, ashamed, or inadequate, and instead of facing those feelings, they push them onto you. They don't want to be seen, so they shut you down. Stand firm in your truth. You are not selfish for expressing pain. You are not making drama by asking for understanding. Relationships require space for mutual feelings, not just one person's comfort. Calm down. Two small words that carry a heavy weight. On the surface, it sounds like an invitation to peace, but in toxic dynamics, calm down is not about peace, it's about power. It's often said in moments where your emotions are justified, where your reaction is appropriate. They don't want calm, they want control. This phrase is often used to discredit you. It implies that you're hysterical, unstable, or irrational. But here's the truth. True calm only comes from being understood. It comes from feeling heard and safe, not from being silenced. When someone tells you to calm down while ignoring the reason you're upset, they're not trying to help. They're trying to dismiss. Emotional regulation is important, yes, but it cannot happen in a vacuum. You don't regulate emotions by suppressing them. You regulate by naming them, by making sense of them. You have the right to express yourself without being labeled crazy, dramatic, or too much. As Jung might say, peace comes from integration. When all parts of you, your logic, your emotions, your wounds, are allowed to exist, together without shame. So next time someone says, calm down, pause and ask yourself, is this person helping me feel safe? Or are they trying to make me small? You are not too much. You are enough. Your emotions are not a weakness. They are messengers. Your memories are not flawed. They are evidence. Your voice is not selfish. It is sacred. The most dangerous phrases are often whispered, delivered without raised voices. They live in your mind like echoes, replaying long after the conversation ends. But now you see them, and when you see them, you can name them. And when you name them, you take your power back, Jung said. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Part of that privilege is recognizing what you're not. You are not a dumping ground for someone else's shadow. You are not responsible for holding together someone who refuses to face themselves. You are not wrong for feeling. You are not wrong for remembering. You are not wrong for needing. You're lucky I put up with you. This phrase doesn't just hurt, it poisons your sense of worth. It's a subtle way of saying you're hard to love, you're difficult, you're a burden. But it comes wrapped in a tone that pretends to be tolerant, even generous. That's the manipulation. They make you feel like their presence is a favor, like you owe them gratitude for not walking away. But here's the raw truth. Real love does not feel like a burden being tolerated. Real love feels like freedom. Real love sees your imperfections and stays, not to put up with you, but to grow with you. Carl Jung said that the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. A healthy connection transforms both people, not humiliates one for existing. This phrase places the abuser in the role of the savior and you in the role of the defective. It's power play disguised as love. And the more you hear it, the more you start to believe that love is conditional, that you must earn your place, that being accepted is a reward for silence. But that's not love, that's control. You deserve to be in a relationship where appreciation is mutual, not weaponized. You are not a project to be fixed or a problem to be managed. You are a person worthy of love exactly as you are. No one else would love you like I do. This statement may sound romantic at first glance, but when spoken in toxic relationships, it's one of the most emotionally paralyzing things someone can say. It's not love, it's imprisonment. What they're really saying is, you're not lovable to anyone else. It traps you in fear. It makes you believe you're too broken, too flawed, too damaged to be accepted elsewhere, and that is a lie. A carefully constructed lie meant to keep you small. Jung taught that we all carry an inner child, a vulnerable, unhealed part of ourselves that craves belonging. When someone uses this phrase, they're speaking directly to that inner child, planting seeds of doubt and insecurity. If you've ever been abandoned, rejected, or made to feel unworthy in the past, this phrase activates those old wounds. And suddenly, leaving the toxic person doesn't just feel hard, it feels impossible. But love, real love, does not create cages. Real love says, even if you leave me, you're still worthy. Even if we don't work, you still matter. You are not unlovable. You are not too much. You're not lucky to be barely tolerated. You are lovable in more ways than you can imagine, and by people who won't make you shrink to be loved. If someone says this phrase to you, remember, love built on fear is not love. It's dependency, it's insecurity, and it's projection. Walk away from anyone who convinces you that you are hard to love. That's their limitation, not your truth. I guess everything is always my fault. This one is deceptive. On the surface, it looks like they're taking responsibility, but it's a form of reverse victimhood. It's theatrical guilt. They say this not to own their actions, but to make you feel bad for holding them accountable. It flips the conversation and puts you in the position of comforter, not the one who was hurt. This phrase creates confusion. You might find yourself apologizing just to end the tension, even when you did nothing wrong. That's emotional manipulation at work. It's a form of emotional blackmail, where guilt is used to silence truth. Carl Jung wrote about the archetypes, the patterns of behavior rooted deep in the human psyche. One of these is the martyr archetype, someone who gains control through passive suffering. When someone uses this phrase, they are activating that archetype to make you feel like the aggressor, even if you were simply asking for basic respect. Healthy people don't avoid responsibility by pretending to drown in it. They face it, they admit it, they change. But manipulators use phrases like this to avoid change while appearing self-aware. It's all an illusion. Here's what you need to remember. Asking for accountability does not make you cruel. Setting boundaries does not make you the villain. You have the right to expect maturity. You have the right to ask for repair, not excuses. You are not attacking them by expressing pain. You are inviting growth. The unseen damage. All of these phrases are spoken in calm tones, often without yelling, without insults, without the traditional signs of abuse. That's why they're so dangerous. They hide in plain sight. They seem small, but they cut deep. Psychologically, these phrases chip away at your self-concept. Over time, you begin to believe what they say. You feel guilty for feeling. You mistrust your own memory. You start to think your needs are unreasonable. And slowly, the version of you that was once whole begins to fade. That's not an accident. It's the goal of emotional manipulation. To weaken you enough that you stop fighting back, but you're waking up. You're seeing it, and that means you're healing. Carl Jung said, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. The people who use these phrases are often avoiding themselves. They project their inner wounds onto you, but their refusal to grow is not your responsibility to carry. Let's be clear, you don't owe anyone your silence. You don't have to minimize your emotions to be loved. You don't have to beg for the bare minimum. You don't have to prove your worth to someone who refuses to see it. You don't have to stay in places where your soul is shrinking. Say this to yourself, I am not too sensitive. I am deeply aware. I'm not hard to love. I've just been around people who couldn't love themselves. I'm not the problem. I'm the pattern breaker. I'm allowed to ask for more. I'm allowed to protect my peace. I'm allowed to begin again. These are not just affirmations. They are reclamations. Every time you recognize one of these phrases for what it truly is, you reclaim a part of yourself that was taken. You deserve love that doesn't come with a price tag. You deserve respect that doesn't expire when you set boundaries. You deserve truth, not confusion. You deserve peace, not walking on eggshells. And most importantly, you deserve to be heard. You deserve to be free. You deserve to be you. Why are you making such a big deal out of this? This phrase is not just dismissive, it's designed to invalidate your reality. It's meant to shrink your pain and make you question your emotional intelligence. The moment someone utters these words, what they're truly saying is, your feelings are inconvenient to me. Carl Jung believed that what you resist persists. When your emotions are repeatedly invalidated, they don't go away, they go deeper. they become internalized shame, self-doubt, and confusion. You begin to wonder, am I too emotional? Am I overreacting? Is this really not that serious? But here's the truth. If something hurt you, it matters. If you felt disrespected, ignored, or betrayed, your reaction is valid, no matter how small the trigger may seem to someone else. What hurts you doesn't need a second opinion to be real. Emotional invalidation creates emotional gaslighting. It leads you to disconnect from your own truth, and that is one of the greatest forms of psychological disempowerment. You don't need to apologize for having a heart that feels. You don't need permission to express discomfort. If someone repeatedly tries to silence your emotions, they're not trying to understand you. They're trying to control the narrative. Never let someone's inability to sit with their own guilt make you question your right to feel. You're too sensitive. This phrase often comes in a moment of vulnerability, right when you're opening up, asking for understanding, or expressing discomfort. And it hits hard. Suddenly, instead of the conversation being about the hurtful thing that was said or done, the spotlight turns on you. You become the issue. You're too much. You're dramatic. You're the problem. But let me tell you something important. Sensitivity is not weakness. Sensitivity is wisdom in the body. It means your nervous system is alert. It means your empathy is alive. It means you notice subtleties that others miss, and that's a gift, not a flaw. Jung taught that the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Sensitive people are often forced to abandon parts of themselves to make others comfortable, but that is no longer your story. You were not born to shrink your soul so that others don't have to grow. If someone calls you too sensitive, consider this. Maybe they're just too numb to understand the depth you feel. Maybe your sensitivity threatens their emotional laziness. Maybe your presence reflects back to them the emotional work they've avoided. You are not too much. You're just enough for the right people. And your sensitivity is not a curse, it's a compass. Trust it. I was just joking. Can't you take a joke? This is perhaps one of the most toxic phrases in emotionally manipulative environments. It cloaks cruelty in comedy. It gives them the freedom to hurt without consequence. And if you speak up, you become the one who can't take a joke. It's not a joke, it's a jab. It's an insult with a mask on. True humor never humiliates. Real jokes don't require someone else to feel small. Carl Jung believed that our unconscious mind often reveals itself in slips of the tongue. When someone says something mean and hides it as a joke, that's not a slip. It's a reveal. It shows you exactly how they feel when the mask is off. If it made you uncomfortable, it wasn't funny. If it made you question yourself, it wasn't. Humor. Emotional abusers use this phrase to test your boundaries. They want to see how much disrespect you'll tolerate, and once they know you'll let it slide, they'll do it again and again. You don't have to laugh at things that hurt. You don't have to smile when something feels wrong. You don't have to participate in your own belittling just to keep the peace. The deeper damage. These phrases may seem harmless to an outsider, but over time, they shape your inner world. They distort your inner dialogue. You start talking to yourself the way they talk to you. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I am too sensitive. Maybe I really am the problem. This is how the cycle of self-abandonment begins. Carl Jung emphasized the importance of integration, the process of bringing the unconscious into the light. When you recognize these phrases for what they are, you start that process. You become conscious of manipulation. You start to name it, and once you can name it, you can unlearn it. You are not crazy. You are not fragile. You are waking up. You are waking up to the truth that love doesn't invalidate. It listens. You are waking up to the truth that healthy people take responsibility, not revenge. You are waking up to the truth that communication should bring clarity, not confusion. You are waking up to your power, to your voice, to your sacred right to be heard. Affirm this: I am allowed to feel deeply. I am not too much for the right people. I do not have to justify my intuition. I do not need to prove my worth to someone. Unwilling to see it. I trust myself. I honor my emotions. I speak my truth. I'm not here to carry someone else's guilt. I'm here to heal. What comes after healing from these phrases means reclaiming your inner world. It means speaking to yourself in ways that build you back up. It means removing yourself from the spaces where your spirit has to hide. Carl Jung believed that our purpose is not perfection, but wholeness. Wholeness means integrating all parts of yourself, the strong, the sensitive, the fearful, the brave. It means choosing relationships that honor your full humanity, not ones that demand silence. And if you've ever stayed in a toxic dynamic for too long, don't shame yourself. That was survival. You didn't stay because you were weak. You stayed because you were loyal, hopeful, loving. That is not something to punish. It's something to understand. Now, you get to choose differently. You get to protect your light. You get to speak your truth. You get to break the cycle. And most of all, you get to come back to yourself fully, fiercely, and without apology. If this message touched something deep inside you, comment the word awakening below. Don't forget to subscribe for more powerful truths. This is Healing Echoes, where your healing begins.